evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Closer Look, the show dedicated to bringing you the facts. We ask the questions no one else will, and we get the answers that no one else can. I'm Arabina Apia. Thanks so much for joining us. Affordable, reliable energy has been out of the reach of many Bahamians for a long time, but change is coming, or at least that's the plan. Now, the push to make energy more affordable, cleaner, and more reliable is gaining momentum. Solar farms are in development, LNG is being integrated, and new policies are on the table. The government says these moves will modernize the grid, cut costs, and boost the economy. But when will Bahamians feel the difference? And what does this shift mean for industries that have been built on fossil fuels? Tonight, we're getting into all of it. Let's take a closer look at everything energy. Stay tuned because the episode begins right on the other side of the break. Welcome back. You're watching A Closer Look. I'm Arabina Apia. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Energy in the Bahamas has been a hot topic for years. Rising bills, unreliable service, and an aging grid that struggles to keep up have been at the heart of the conversation. The government says it has a plan. Renewables, LNG, and a push to modernize how power is both generated and delivered. But where do things actually stand? Our very own Larissa Lundy brings it all into focus in our next segment. Larissa?
The cost of electricity, aging power plants, and frequent outages. These are all challenges that have defined the energy sector in the Bahamas for years. But change is happening. The government has launched a national push to modernize our grid, embrace cleaner energy, and reduce costs for Bahamians. Tonight, for this segment of In Focus, we take a closer look at how innovation and strategic partnerships are shaping our energy future. With 29 power stations across 17 islands, the Bahamas is heavily dependent on imported fossil fuels, making electricity one of the most expensive in the region. Many of the generators in use today are decades old, leading to frequent breakdowns and costly maintenance. And with a $500 million debt burden, the challenge has been how to modernize without placing additional financial strain on consumers.
Today's electric grid is aging and is being pushed to do more than it was originally designed to do. A 21st century grid must be flexible and smarter as our energy mix is changing.
BPL has been at the center of these reforms, working to stabilize the grid and introduce cost-saving initiatives like the equity rate adjustment to reduce costs for lower usage consumers.
BPL has made significant steps in our transformation journey. The LNG terminal is set to be constructed over the next 24 months, which means that we can run on a cleaner, more energy efficient type of fuel.
Looking ahead, the government is aiming for 30% renewable energy reliance by 2030. Solar projects at schools like CV Bethel and Doris Johnson are already providing clean energy, and partnerships with independent power producers are expected to accelerate the shift away from fossil fuels. From LNG to solar, infrastructure upgrades to new partnerships, the Bahamas is taking decisive steps toward a modern energy future. Reporting for A Closer Look, I'm Larissa Lundy. Back to you, Rabs.
Now, energy reform does not just happen on paper. It happens on the ground with the companies and contractors who've been tasked with making it real. From solar farms to grid upgrades, the government has awarded contracts to vendors who are now leading the charge in this transformation. So, who's involved and what kind of impact will their work actually have? ACL correspondent Preston Ferguson Jr. takes a closer look in this next report. Preston?
The push for renewable energy in the Bahamas is gaining momentum, with major vendors signing on to deliver on the government's ambitious goals. These partnerships are integral for the integration of renewable energy, reducing the burden on BPL, and accelerating the country's shift to a cleaner energy mix.
The government of the Bahamas has selected international and Bahamian-owned companies that will assist in the upgrading of the power grid of the Bahamas while specializing in the distribution of renewable energy.
We have selected partners with international experience to draw on their expertise and also local companies, some of which are 100% Bahamian-owned, to expand entrepreneur opportunities.
In a milestone event for the Bahamas' renewable energy sector, the first of several power purchase agreements has been signed. Owen Bethel, CEO and founder of Madeline Solar Power Limited, discusses their vision for advancing sustainable energy initiatives and the positive impact they aim to achieve across the nation.
The idea is, again, as we hope here in the Bahamas, to reduce the cost of energy, not only to the government, but also to the consumers, right? And at the same time, give some sort of protection in terms of the supply of energy to the country, right? The impact will certainly be, at the end of the day, a reduction in the cost.
Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Davis, also gave remarks at the signing ceremony, where he reminded Bahamian families of the paradigm shift his administration is making in the renewable energy sector.
As we continue to integrate renewables and invest in cleaner fuel alternatives, we are creating a new energy paradigm for future success when Bahamian families and businesses no longer struggle with keeping the lights on. We are proving that small island nations can think big, that we can innovate, that we can rise above our challenges, carve out a sustainable path toward and lead forward and lead the way.
The government remains committed to providing renewable energy solutions via strong partnerships. And with the first signing completed today, we look forward to the upcoming 11 signings across the Bahamas being finalized in the near future. Reporting for a closer look, I'm Preston Ferguson Jr.
Stay with us. There's more of a closer look right on the other side of the break.
Hi, my name is Veron Darvel. I'm an energy manager with the Ministry of Energy and Transport. I'm here to talk to you about energy efficiency. What is energy efficiency? Energy efficiency is using less electricity to do the same amount of work, whether that be turning off your lights after using them or using your AC in the right way at the right time. Energy efficiency will lower your electricity bills.
Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. I'm Arabina Appiah. You're watching A Closer Look. Energy reform isn't just about cutting costs today. It's about investing in the future for tomorrow. And some of the biggest changes are starting where the next generation learns. Across the country, schools have been adopting solar energy in an effort to reduce electricity bills, improve sustainability, and prove that renewables can work on a large scale. So, what impact is this having? And could this model be the blueprint for a broader shift? Our April Smith tells us more.
Thanks, Arabina. It's been nearly a year since the Ministry of Energy and Transport has made a partnership with the Inter-American Development Bank. Through that partnership, they've been able to transform a fleet of public schools to be completely solar generated. Today, 6 public schools in the Bahamas are now operating through solar generated panels. Through this project, schools have been provided with the installation of rooftop solar PV array, exterior lighting control systems, and programmable thermostats. But what what does this really mean for the long run?
The greatest benefit that it has is that it reduces the ministry's energy bill. The more schools we take off the grid, the more the ministry can save money on its energy cost, and that money can be used towards curriculum, tuition matters, and to educate our Bahamian people.
While different campuses are equipped with different systems, they are all saving energy and reducing costs for the hope that other important matters can receive more attention.
The big question is, because it's supposed to be an energy saver, here at the campus we wanted to know how much were we actually saving when it came to electricity bills. It was quite profound when they said up to about $3,000, maybe even more per month. So that excited us because we had already had some plans that we wanted to have happening at the school, and hearing that energy was going to be saved, we thought that that would be a plus.
But even more than the reduction of overhead expense, each school shared that the installation of solar panels throughout the campus has become an intriguing topic of discussion for students.
We are all about progressive learning and building lives, and the sustainable energy is exactly what we need to teach our students to be self-sufficient in every area of life.
It's clear that the way forward in solar energy not only aids for financial stability, but also educational opportunity. Reporting for A Closer Look, I'm April Sands.
And talking about the need for energy reform in the Bahamas is bound to spark some strong opinions. So, what's the word on the street? Our very own Erin Scavella is on the go in this next segment to find out what you have to say.
High electricity costs, aging infrastructure, and frequent power outages. These are the challenges that Bahamians have faced over the years. But now, change is on the horizon. The Ministry of Energy and Transport and Bahamas Power and Light have launched plans to modernize our energy infrastructure, lower costs, and introduce cleaner, more reliable power. But are these changes really felt in our community?
I got 5 employees and we always in there. I gonna need the bill reduced.
I mean, about time. We're sun, sand, and sea, so we need to make use of that sun.
What your bill used to be, may have been $200, now it's down to maybe $140, $60 savings.
Additionally, solar projects are being implemented across several islands at schools like CV Bethel and Doris Johnson. However, some Bahamians are still questioning the affordability of investment of solar energy for the average Joe.
Well, reducing costs, bills. I definitely think we'll cut costs.
Well, I have a hybrid now, and I just feel like life is so different now that I don't have that burden of gasoline. I think that incentives is going to be, of course, one of the first things that they should do for people. And whenever you're introducing any kind of new opportunity, those incentives are going to help.
The goal is clear. The government aims for 30% of our energy to come from renewable sources by 2030. Achieving this will require continued investment, key partnerships, and public support.
Renewable energy is the way to go right now, especially if you want to cut some of these electricity bills.
We have so much free energy. We have constant sun. If that can be something implemented on one of our core buildings, or that's just something I feel will bring us into the right direction.
The push for cleaner, more affordable energy is a step in the right direction, with upgrades already underway. But for many Bahamians, the pain of electricity bills and frequent outages is still very real. While the government is working to modernize the energy sector, there's still a long road ahead before everyone feels the impact of these changes. Keep asking the questions and we'll continue to bring you answers. Reporting for A Closer Look, I'm Erin Scavella. Back to you, Arabina.
Stay with us. A Closer Look will be back right after this.
Every season creates an opportunity for you to enjoy the comfort and security of your most valuable assets. Unfortunately, termites are common and very unwanted guests that never stop eating. With Strucum, you can enjoy the peace of mind as we protect your investment with our 3-year fumigation warranty. Struckham, #1 in pest control services.
Welcome back. You're watching A Closer Look. I'm Arabina Apia. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. So far, we've talked about the push for renewables, the infrastructure being built, and what this energy shift could mean for Bahamians. But the big questions remain. How far along are we really? What's working? What's still a challenge? And what's next? To help us unpack the government's strategy and what's ahead, we're joined by the Minister of Energy and Transport, the Honorable JoBeth Colby-Davis, as well as the CEO of Bahamas Power and Light, Ms. Toni Seymour. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. So let's talk about, this big energy transition. Minister, I know that the Bahamas has faced many ongoing challenges, high costs, outdated infrastructure. Can you give us a sort of high-level overview of how this administration is really tackling these issues?
So the government made sure to put a lot of focus and attention and make it a priority to do an aggressive energy reform plan, one that focuses on full circle of what we need to fix in our country. So we have the issue of reliability. And I know many people think about those summers or those evenings when all of a sudden your power is out. And so there are many issues when it comes to our system, our transmission and distribution, and also generation, demand load. And so reliability was a challenge. There's also the issue of affordability, right? And then the world globally is moving to more cleaner and more renewable energy. And so our focus from a government standpoint is to look at it as a whole package and how we could bring about that reliable, sustainable, and affordable energy reform plan to the country. So we passed the Electricity Act 2024, and we also passed the Natural Gas Act 2024. And the Natural Gas Act ties completely into the affordability and also moving to cleaner fuel, because that allows us now to bring in a larger capacity of LNG, which is liquefied natural gas.
Right.
And so that's going to be added into our fuel mix that assists us in bringing down the cost of our fuel. So the fuel charge that everyone sees on their bills monthly, we're trying to bring that down to a more reasonable level. But it also allows us to introduce power purchase agreements. And so the PPAs allows us to introduce some new partners, strategic partners are what we call them, that will be able to manage our new generation of LNG, but also do it at a cost that BPL doesn't have to take on.
Well, that's a great place to bring Ms. Seymour into the conversation. So can you give us an idea of what progress BPL has made so far in modernizing your infrastructure, the power plants? And the minister is speaking about, all of this transition to cleaner, more affordable and renewable energy. So what sort of progress has been made from the BPL side to make this a reality?
So at BPL, we're very excited about the government's holistic approach to the energy reform. At BPL, we are in the middle of our maintenance period. Our maintenance period is October to May. So we're currently doing overhauls on all of the units that require major maintenance this season. We've also done a number of upgrades on the T&D network. We've put in interrupters, which allow faults to clear faster so that you don't have extended outages. Smart relays at the substation, so if there is an issue, the relays can open and close by themselves automatically, which reduces the outage time as well, rather than having a truck have to drive to the substation to clear the fault and correct the issue. So all of those things are currently ongoing in New Providence as well as in some of the Family Islands. So what that does is it allows us to improve our response times to outages and give you a more reliable electricity supply.
Now, Minister, I know you've spoken to some of the government's goals in terms of this energy transition. I know one of them is achieving 30% renewables by the year 2030. Can you give us some insight into the projects that are currently underway and how they help us achieve that specific goal?
So on our family islands and also here in New Providence. Well, you know, we started with the rooftop solar for our schools. So that is a push to us achieving that 30 by 30. And then we also advance our request for proposals for the family islands and also for New Providence. So we're going to have utility scale solar plants in New Providence, 3 locations, and that's going to assist us in getting there. We already have 30 megawatts of battery energy storage systems at the Blue Hill Power Plant. And so our New Providence plants will also have 25 megawatts each, and they'll also be assisted with battery energy storage, which we call BESS for short. Okay. In the family islands, we introduced a request for proposal where we invited independent power producers to provide us a microgrid by hybrid. And so what that allows is conventional generation to be incorporated along with renewables. And so they'll also be putting renewable plants. 30% of their generation capacity would be by renewables, including BESS, which is the battery that would assist our solar.
Well, Minister, that's a very ambitious goal. And it's one of those things that, as you've mentioned, is a holistic approach, right? So what about, the push to get a skilled workforce? Because I imagine these new technologies, these new industries require a skilled workforce to maintain them, to keep it moving forward, to keep it growing and developing. So where are we in that process, and what does that look like?
I'm really happy you asked that, because internally, the CEO is here to just give more information on what we're doing internally at BPL. But the focus this year and going into the remainder is really to upgrade and upskill all of our staff. Obviously, they're experts in the field. They're very technical. They know what they're doing, and they've been allowing or assisting us to keep the power generated for the entire Bahamas. But now that we have so much new technology coming on stream, it has been an important focus of us now to implement new training initiatives, whether it's cross-training either on the family island or globally, but also to bring in persons to do seminars and sessions with our workers. But a key part of our request for proposals was a focus on training and development that must be provided by our independent power producers.
Well, I guess, Ms. Seymour, I'll ask you the same question. Can you speak to the sort of training and opportunities that are available to members of the BPL staff, and how have they been, responding to the availability of that new training?
So the staff are very excited. It's new technology for the engineers and the technicians. Everyone's really happy about the opportunity to learn new technologies. At BPL, we've rolled out the learning management system, which is an online system. So every employee has access to over 2,000 self-paced learning courses. Wow. And so whatever area you're interested in, you can go in and learn on your own time. And a lot of the team members are coming to us and they're saying, can we move to this area? We see a project going on here, can we cross-train here? So it's cross-training, it's self-development, and then it's the company investing in the employees to upskill them and retrain them in areas that they may not have had an opportunity to work in the past.
Okay. I know one of the other things that BPL has done is the introduction of the equity rate adjustment, right? So that has been designed to provide some relief to customers. Can you give us an idea of how that works and what impact has that had so far?
So now that it's cooler and consumption is lower, a lot of people have seen a significant reduction in their bills. So one of your team members came to me and said his bill was $39. And I said, I'm going to have to send a meter inspector to come and check your house. Sure. But we've gotten some good reports, especially now in the cooler months when you may not have to use your air conditioner every night. So what it is our bills are tiered. So for the 0 to 200 kilowatt hour tier, there is a zero base rate. You only pay for the fuel used for that tier of electricity. And so if you compare your bills prior to July 1, 2024, you will see that previously you were charged 10.95 cents per kilowatt hour for that tier of electricity. So everyone should have seen a reduction of at least $200 on their bills if you compare for the same consumption over a period of time.
And are there any additional measures coming on board to help consumers manage the high cost of electricity that you can speak to?
So as Minister said, once we improve our efficiencies and reduce the fuel charge, then our customers will see a reduction in their bills as well. But there are things that they can do in their own homes, like changing out their light bulbs to LEDs and making sure your home is properly insulated, that your air conditions are properly sized for the space that they cool, that your doors and windows are sealed properly. You know, in the summer months, it's hotter, so everything works harder to cool the same space. So what we're going to do is roll out a customer education program that gives tips on how you can manage your energy costs, like maybe putting your water heater on a timer or on a switch, so when you're not at home, you know, it's not cycling on and off constantly.
Right.
So these are things that we plan to roll out in before the end of March for our customers.
Well, ladies, looking forward, give me both of your top priorities for this energy transition, this move toward cleaner, more affordable energy for Bahamians.
Well, I'm excited to see our solar plants be commissioned and producing energy and providing that power into our grid, and seeing that cost go down, and hearing the stories of across the Bahamas of how reliable our energy generation has become. I'm really excited also about the transformation that we're having within BPL, seeing the excitement with the staff and them training and learning and development and just becoming a new, different energy focused country. And so
I echo the minister's sentiments. My priority as CEO is to the staff and BPL as a whole. So my approach is for 2025 is we are one BPL, and it's to make the Family Islands a part of a cohesive team. So we have a lot of initiatives that we're rolling out to bring everyone together and make sure that we're all moving in the same direction. We set our corporate goals. We are empowering our employees to learn, to grow, to develop, and to just reach their full potential.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you ladies so much for being here. This has been a really insightful conversation. We'll definitely have to have you back, both of you, as these initiatives unfold and the updates keep coming in. So I want to thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, there's more show right after this, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Energy reform isn't just about upgrading infrastructure. It's about changing the way that Bahamians experience power delivery. From solar campuses to LNG integration, the shift is happening, and it's happening now. The grid is evolving, renewables are expanding, and communities are already seeing the impact. But there is still more to come, and the transition is already underway. The future of energy in the Bahamas is being built right now, and it's being built right before our very eyes. The question isn't if change is coming, it's when, and it's how far we're all willing to go. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. I'm Arabina Apia, and I'll be back next week with a closer look at the stories that matter most to you. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, good night, everyone.